Hello ladies and gentlemen, it is Cumley here, and today I'm here to give you a, let's call it a live casted VOD of the QQ Ninja RedditHoN Open Finals. Today we have TIRL going up against ELMO, that is of course tanks in real life, going up against Clan Tickle Me Elmo. We have some interesting picks so far. I do apologize for missing the banning and picking phase, but we're going to pick up the recording right here at the start of the game. For the Legion team, we have Torturer, Malikan, Valkyrie, Witch Slayer, and Pharaoh. We're going to expect, we can actually see we have the Valkyrie soloing the hard lane up here, and we have the Pharaoh taking the mid. It's likely he's going to go against a Tundra in the mid. We'll get to that in a minute, but that'll be a very interesting matchup to see in mid. And on bot, we have their tri-lane with the Torturer, Witch Slayer, and Malikan. I'm actually a really big fan of Malikan. He's a really great hero. He's got a really strong mid and late game, especially once he gets some of those really core items on him. But he's also fairly strong in the early game. He's pretty hard to kill because he's got a lot of good skills and all that fun stuff. But it'll definitely be good to see how they do in that tri lane, how they choose to farm him up, and how quickly he can get those core items that he needs so badly. Right off the bat, we can see the Legion team right here is kind of guarding their jungle. They want to keep this area a little bit off limits to the other team. They don't want them to be able to easily ward their creeps. They want to keep it on lockdown. The Hellborn team actually seems fairly okay with that. They haven't moved over to the area yet to try and block those creep spawns or anything, but it'd be interesting to see if they do try and get that creep spawn at some point to prevent the stacked pulls. So for the Hellborn team, we have a Tundra, Bubbles, Puppet Master, Magnus, and Andromeda. That gives them a very powerful tri-lane. You can see a lot of disables here. We have the Puppet Master even going with the Puppet Hold first level, and then the Magnus and Andro stuns, of course. They do move in here and they get these two really great wards. These are the best ward spots if you're running a tri-lane on the Hellborn side. This one gives you a ton of vision of the jungle, although typically you'll see it moved over a little bit, so you get a little bit more coverage down here. But they do also have the creep spawn blocked, of course. For their solos, they have a Tundra running here in the mid. He's got a hash. He's going to try and shut down this Pharaoh. He should have a little bit higher base damage right here. Yeah, it is a little bit higher. It'll be interesting to see how this mid goes and who's able to really get an advantage, because these are both heroes that want to kind of move around and gank as soon as they hit that level 6. And then on top, we have a Bubbles versus a Valkyrie. It's a pretty common long lane solo lane. You know, Bubbles and Valkyrie both very good at escaping. They both do fairly well if they have to go against the tri-lane themselves. You know, so it gives you a lot of flexibility based on where the lanes are going. I'm kind of going to give the edge here to Valkyrie. I just think that Valkyrie can really do a lot of free farm damage, especially if Pebbles tries and leave this lane to gank the other ones. But of course, a lot of it comes down to the players, and we will have to see how that goes. I would give the advantage today to Team Elmo. It seems like they've been absolutely crushing their way through the tournament, but I definitely wouldn't count TIRL out yet, because they have been playing quite well as well. I did get a chance to cast, I believe it was their semi-final games, it may have been the quarterfinals, but they were playing extremely well, and they were doing quite well in their tri-lanes. So it'll be interesting to see how well this tri-lane manages to do. I am solo casting today, so I apologize for any awkward silences or, you know, quality issues or anything like that. Typically I co-cast on a stream, but we'll deal with it for today, because nobody was on, and it is the Reddit Finals. How could we pass up an opportunity to do this? We do see Tundra using his pets quite effectively to kind of control the rune areas. He's getting a lot of good vision. Oh, we do have a kill here on the bottom lane. Again, you know, that TIRL tri-lane's coming into play. Very effective. They seem to have a lot of good synergy. One thing to note is that they are running a Torturer this game. They have been playing Torturer a ton lately. Hetsu has been playing basically 60 or 70% Torturer lately, in anticipation, I imagine, for an important game like this. So we definitely want to see where he can go as far as supporting. He is in a bit of a dangerous position, but the Hellborn is not able to capitalize on it. I'm a little bit surprised that they haven't been countering this rune from the Hellborn, this ward from the Hellborn. It's a pretty common spot. He looks like he's going to try and counter this counter ward, which he does quite well. They're going to be able to get those pulls spawning. One thing to note is that he did miss the 3-minute spawn on that. I would have liked to see it a little bit early. The timing was a little bit off on that. Again, that's just a small refinement that you want to make to your play. You want to be able to have those little timings worked out so that you get it done before the spawn actually comes. As far as the other warding, they do have this one warded. They're countering the entrance instead of getting the jungle area. I think this is a little bit weaker of a ward, but, you know, they both kind of get the job done. We do have Magnus standing in the creep spawn. I'm not sure what he's doing there. If he had chosen to go, like, maybe towards the 4-minute mark, I could have seen him using his body to creep black, but he was just kind of standing there, not really doing much. So far, let's see what the farm is like. We do have a 13-0 Malikan. And it does seem like both teams are actually farming fairly well. We see a high creep count on both sides. The Legion team is a little bit ahead, both on creep kills and denies. That's really great to see, especially early game. Malikan kind of harassing a little bit with his sword throw, pushing the lane up a little bit. We do see Pharaoh actually picking up a haste rune. Now, they do have vision of that haste rune, so he's not going to be able to just run up here and kill this Bubbles. He is going to try. This is probably going to fail. It's probably going to waste his time. He should know that they have vision on it at this point, but we'll have to see if maybe Valk's able to land a miracle arrow or something like that. And Bubbles does look like he's just going to port far, far, far away. Now, that does do a good thing, and then it gives Valk a little bit more free farm. He is going to have some time where Bubbles will have to kind of, you know, chill in here and work his way out and eventually get back, but, you know, it's not a huge deal. It's probably not worth losing all that farm in mid. But those haste runes can be so powerful if they're not scouted. We actually have Tundra going pretty heavily on this Pharaoh. It looks like he's just going to back up. If he was 6, I think he probably would have went for a kill there on that Pharaoh. Pharaoh is choosing to not get the mummies yet. He is getting the Hellfire and his booger shot of death, which is you know, it's fine build. Hellfire does a ton of damage if you can isolate heroes with it and get levels on it. I do like Mummy Walls just because it messes up people so hard, and you can actually use it to zone off a melee hero so that they can't get to the creep kills they need, and a lot of times they'll bump into the mummies and get that mana drain, which, you know, on a melee strength hero is a pretty limited resource. So it can be pretty strong. I'm a little bit surprised that he's skipping those mummies, but, you know, it's one of those heroes that has a lot of personal choices, like Torturer. And you see Torturer going Agonize upon chains reactions, which is not surprising in a tri-lane, but especially when you play Torturer solo, you have a lot of options as far as what skill build you want to do. So we are seeing this this Malikan getting a pretty easy farm down here. There's not a ton of pressure coming from the Hellborn tri-lane like I would have expected. I would have expected them trying to go for a lot more kills than they are. They are getting a lot of good vision right now, so maybe they have decided the same thing and they want to try and set up some kills. But at the moment, they're playing surprisingly passive for a tri-lane with so much CC. We do see him scouting out the rune. There is a double damage on top. Orange is, of course, not here. He is level 6, so he's going to be looking to initiate. He hits a hook on Andromeda, and they're going to put a ton of stuns, and Andromeda is going to go down easy. The question is, can they get multiple kills from it? I can see Malikan actually getting a pretty good kill. Oh, you have to question that puppet show not on Malikan. She's going to go down. Magnus as well. If Magnus goes down, that's going to be really, really bad. He does manage to get away, though. Oh, a very nice juke by this Magnus being played by Molarini. And he does almost go down by the Pharaoh nuke as well. Very, very painful. But he did manage to live, which is very, very important. You don't want to give up those 3 kills. That's absolutely brutal for your tri-lane. It'll be interesting to see where they move around. Oh, we do actually have a gank with the double damage Tundra on this Valkyrie. That's going to be really important. They needed some kind of momentum swing after that double kill on bot, and Tundra does deliver. He doesn't actually have his cold shoulder yet. That's perfectly reasonable, of course, but it would actually help quite a bit on catching up to that Valkyrie if you time it with the leap just right. He is looking to get a TP. I could see him actually probably just going back mid and then coming in trying to gank bot when he has his ult up again. I would fully expect him to work towards a portal key at some point in the near future. That is a very, very strong item on Tundra. It lets you initiate and get that ult, because the ult is actually more positional than a lot of people think, because it affects all of the targets between you and the target that you actually target. So you want to get the opposing team between you and the target that you're going after. A lot of people just, you know, run up and hit the person that's right in front of them that they want to hit with the ult, but you really want to kind of get that that bulk of their units in between you and the ult. It matters quite a bit. I would be interested to see his hockey setup on Tundra. I tend to do 1 for my courier, 2 for my Tundra, 3 for my Shiver, and then 4 for my little guy and me, and then 5 for just my little guy. I am also a StarCraft player, so I tend to have a lot of hotkeys going for any hero that kind of needs them, especially if I have a puzzle box or something like that. We do have 4 Legion players here on the bottom. They're going to be looking to set up another gank. I think the Hellborn team kind of suspects this. I mean, you can see how far back they are. I'm not sure if they had any ward vision. Oh, but Magnus actually goes in. He does manage managed to stun out, which is such a powerful ability. Malkin does not have his ultimate yet, so he's not really able to have that super strong initiation that we'll see a little bit later. I feel like Pharaoh maybe jumped the gun a little bit there. They should have been a little bit more patient. They could have gotten a good angle, because if you get a jump on somebody like Andromeda or Puppet Master, they're much more likely to die. We do feel the bubbles come down here for a gank. He did get a really solid ult off, and that Magma Stun is absolutely devastating. Will they get all 3 kills out of this? No, just the 2, but that is still a really great gank. You know, it turns around the momentum. This tri-lane is definitely an area of conflict right now. We're going to see a lot of people focus on trying to do it. It'll be interesting to see if they choose to, you know, kind of keep resetting up the tri-lane and getting ganks going, or if they're going to actually change it around, change some of their tri-lane support heroes to roamers. I think that definitely the Hellborn team has an advantage in that, just because it's so much easier for the Puppet Master to solo farm than it is for somebody like a Malkin. Although the Malkin does have a fairly solid escape mechanism, so maybe it's not quite as bad as I first thought. Excuse me. Oh, yeah. We do have this Pharaoh in the middle in a little bit of danger. We have the Hellborn team coming up towards mid. And they are going to go for this gank on the Pharaoh, and you have to feel like he's just going to melt. We did have one single TP come in. It's not enough, and he just died so quickly that it wasn't even an issue. It will give Torturer some good, decent mid farm for a little bit, which is great. He could really use those levels. Hellborn has a really solid ward down here that's going to spot any incoming TPs to the bottom. Pharaoh has kind of been walking more than he's been TPing, so it might not give them quite the vision they were looking for, but that's a really great rune. That's a really great ward. I have some kind of like dyslexia where runes are wards and wards are runes. I'm not sure what that is called, but I have a severe case of it. I constantly do it. We do see Malkin has reached level 6. That's going to be fairly significant. Oh, we do have a really ballsy initiation. Manning up from this Pharaoh going onto this Andromeda. His team does arrive, but will it be fast enough? Can Malkin get his ult off on this Magnus? That does. It knocks him out of the Steam Bath, but Bubbles is here to do a little bit of counter damage, and the Pharaoh does go down. What else can we see here? Oh, it does look like Witchslayers actually might go down. It's going to be really close. Magnus is probably going to look to get a stun on him. Oh, we do see a little counter damage onto the Puppet Master and a taunt. Ooh, getting a little carried away there. He does manage to get it off, but will this level 9 Tundra be able to do some damage as well? It doesn't look like it. That's definitely going to be in the favor of the Legion team. Andromeda does port back, but I'm not sure that they're going to be able to do anything. I feel like the fight is probably over now. So really great team by the really great fight by the Legion team. They did quite a lot of damage, and they are countering this rune down here. That's a really great job, you know, knowing where those wards are going to be and countering them quite effectively. And we can see that we have a lot of really effective wards by the Legion team right now. They have a ton of vision. This is actually a counter ward, but it'll still be able to spot anybody running by if they choose to hug it a little bit. And this ward right here gives you a ton of vision. You know, the entrance of the river, the entrance of their tower, and the jungle right here. It's a really great ward. People should get more in the habit of using wards like this. You know, especially when you're at the 15, 16, 100 rating, people put a ward here, and they put a ward here, and if they're feeling really kinky, they'll like put a ward here, and that's about the extent of stuff. We do see Pink getting another kill here. There was a 5-second arrow probably on a creep, but it does look like Valkyrie might be in a little bit of trouble as well. Does she have her leap up? No, she does not for 5 more seconds. Cold Shoulder goes on her. I don't think Tundra's going to be able to get a kill, but he is going to put a lot of pressure on her. Will Torture be able to get a counter? No, it doesn't look like it. They're just going to run away. So, you know, Tundra's moving around quite a bit. He's getting a lot of damage done. He's keeping the momentum in the favor, or at least keeping them in the game as far as keeping the momentum in favor of the Hellborn team. It's really great to see that. Tundra is a really great hero. A little bit underutilized, especially at the mid-level of play. I think it's just that people are afraid of, you know, not playing him effectively, and then he becomes kind of a, you know, useless hero in the mid to late games if you don't have those levels. He is quite ahead on levels. He's actually 3 levels ahead of his mid enemy Pharaoh. Pharaoh has had some questionable initiations so far this game that have led to some deaths, but here's a pretty solid one right now. We're seeing him go in, but it's still like they're going to be able to get any kills out of it. The Legion team is not here in the numbers that they need, and so Torchroot just kind of dies and they don't really get much done. You know, if you want to do these initiations, you really need I would say probably 3 people, you know. 3 people let you effectively chain stun somebody to death, but when you have 2 people, you know, you go in and then you get a stun, and then there's really not much you can do from there. So you really want to kind of wait for more heroes to come. That Pharaoh ult is so versatile and so important, and now it's going to be down for 50 seconds, and he just isn't really accomplishing much with it. Again, he doesn't have his mummy wall. They do have a few heroes that can get out of the mummy wall, especially once Andromeda hits level 6. She can swap anybody out of it, and maybe that's their thought process. But you know, you hate to just see like disregarding one of his best skills just for that. We do have a kill up here on top on the Valkyrie by Bubbles. Really great job. Valkyrie is definitely, you know, a tricky matchup with Bubbles. Bubbles does have quite a lot of movement, but and that silence is pretty devastating on a Valkyrie as well. So it is interesting to see. So far we do have the gold lead slightly in the Legion team's favor and the experience slightly in the Hellborn team's favor.